Right, Anna, thank you for joining us this afternoon for our first in the series of our tutor Q&A. I'm going to jump straight in. So question number one, could you tell us a little bit about you and your background, please?
Yes, so I'm a gymnastics and trampoline coach. Been doing those sports most of my life, and we started offering rebound therapy at our gymnastics club in Bognor Regis. I got qualified in rebound therapy in about 2014, and it was immediately really popular at our club. And then in 2016, I heard that rebound therapy was recruiting more tutors, so I applied, and I'm still here 10 years later.
Amazing, fantastic. And what made you want to become a rebound therapy tutor?
Just seeing how well it served everyone at our club, really. And it wasn't a case of we were doing rebound therapy all that separately. We were integrating it into our day-to-day gymnastics operations as well. Yeah, it really served every ability. And I was very keen on the idea of more and more settings being able to do it, because I think everywhere should be able to offer it.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent. And what do you love most about your job?
I'd say so many things, really. Aside from the rebound therapy itself, I do actually really like to travel. I get to go to some really cool places with rebound therapy. I go to Ireland and Northern Ireland quite regularly, and I'd never been at all before I started tutoring. But it's seeing, I think it's really the ripple effect is the most rewarding thing. So I estimate now that I'm about on 350 courses or so that I've done now. That's probably equates to about 3,000 to 3,500 candidates. So then if you apply that in terms of number of students and people who've benefited from rebound therapy, that's a lot of people, and that's it's quite a good legacy to have, really.
Yeah, well done you. And I guess leading on from that, what's your favourite reaction from someone that's experienced rebound therapy for the first time?
So often on day 2 of the course, if it's possible, I'll ask the school to provide a couple of students. And that's always most rewarding if it's the very first course for a school. So they've got a brand new trampoline. They're learning about rebound therapy for the first time. And I remember at one school in Southend, we'd had a boy come and try out the trampoline, and he kept signing more. Every time the riding stopped, he'd sign more again. And I thought, oh, that was quite good. He appeared to enjoy that. And then after the teacher had dropped him off back at his class, she came back in and said, I just spoke to one of the teachers about what we saw. Apparently he's made that more sign twice before in his whole time at the school, and he basically just done it 10 times in a row. So yeah, the teachers obviously know the kids better than I do, so I'll often see something and I'll think, oh yeah, that went okay, and they're actually quite mind blown by it. It's new territory for that child.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And I guess if there's one thing that you wish people understood about rebound therapy, what would that be?
I think it's benefits beyond physical, especially. At our gymnastics club, one of our big remits is working with children in the foster care system. Some of them have had very troubled upbringings, and we're working. Yes, we're working as an intervention on their motor skills to bring to help them catch up with their peers. But there's so much more than that we're teaching them as well. And I think the really big one is that it's okay to make mistakes, because it's a normal and healthy part of a learning process. So many children fear making mistakes, and to the point where they often won't try something because they're so scared of getting it wrong. But the trampoline gets around that a bit. They're very willing to try most things on the trampoline. And yeah, that's a really big part of emotional development.
Yeah, nice. I guess leading again on from that would be how can rebound therapy support communication?
So there's often a lot of chatter on the trampoline. I've worked with young adults who are fairly minimally verbal, or they'll have some words, but they're not generally used in context. And I find I'm having full conversations with them on the trampoline, or children who are often very shy. And in fact, the thing that schools very often feedback on day two, so I've never met these children before. And within a couple of minutes, they're working with me like they've known me for years. And again, the teachers are really surprised by this because, normally he's so shy, he won't work with new people. So I think the child must be thinking, well, this lady's got the trampoline, so she must be all right.
Yeah. And when you're on the trampoline, what's your favourite thing?
Back bouncing, definitely.
Back bouncing?
Yeah, it's my favourite thing in the whole programme. It's a tricky one to do. I feel a bit bad about it because I often demonstrate it. I can go very high with back bounces, and then sometimes candidates find that move quite hard to replicate. But often the students don't, and I think it's something where for that move you've got to really listen to the trampoline rather than listen to an instructor. But that one's sensory heaven, really. You're flying, you've got a weightless moment at the top, and then you've got a nice big impact when you land back down again. So that's definitely my favourite.
Yeah. Okay. And go on and be honest. So how often do you end up bouncing when you're on the trampoline?
Quite often on courses if there's a little bit of downtime. I'm a diver as well, so and I used to have a trampoline in my garden, but since we moved house we haven't been able to accommodate one anymore. So I used to be on my home trampoline a lot, and I do miss it. So on the courses is the best opportunity to have a quick bounce, but it's often doing a few drills here and there that help with diving.
Yeah, excellent. And you've got one rebound therapy skill that you can teach for the rest of your tutoring life, and what would that be?
Probably riding, because it's so versatile. And on the courses, typically there's 12 to 16 candidates, and I can very easily think up 16 variations of riding. So different positions, different apparatus, different purposes. So some are for communication, some are for core stability, some are for increasing or decreasing muscle tone. So you could almost make a whole course out of just riding. Yeah,
so, okay. And on the 2-day full course, what's your favourite part?
It's normally at about 11 o'clock on day one, when you can see that they're starting to really warm up to the idea. And I'm quite mindful that sometimes people book themselves onto courses, especially when it's an open course and they've come to a venue. But realistically, in educational settings, the school has booked a course and they've chosen 12 staff to do it. And sometimes the staff aren't quite sure to begin with what they've let themselves in for, especially if they are, and I'd often try and reassure people, because if they weren't sporty at school, then they're not physically inclined normally. I can see how it would be a very daunting prospect. Am I going to be judged for how I move on the trampoline? So I try and make it very clear that that's not what we're doing. And it's normally a couple of hours in where I can actually see when they start to relax and get into it and think, this is actually going to be good fun. And even if they were a little bit of a tough crowd to begin with, I've then got them on my side, and it's normally plain sailing from there. Yeah, good.
And what would you say candidates find surprising?
That it can serve every level of disability, and that's some feedback that I get again and again, that someone will say something like, we've done loads of courses for activities, but it leaves this group of students out, or it doesn't serve our PMLD students especially. It's good for our challenging behaviours, our more able students, but we couldn't apply it to this. And that's not the case with Rebound Therapy. They've now got a resource that will work for every one of their students.
Yeah, lovely. And then finally, what makes a great rebound therapy practitioner in your eyes?
Someone who is unshockable, I would say. Having done this job for best part of 20 years now as a disability trampolining coach. I've worked with some quite challenging children, but I often say challenging behaviours are my favourites because they keep me on my toes, they keep my job interesting. Working closely with social services, working with children who've come from very, very challenging backgrounds. You hear and see all sorts in this job. That keeps it interesting.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. Thank you, Anna. So that's the first 15 questions. We're going to move on to some quick fire questions now. Okay. So no pressure at all, nothing too taxing. So the first one, morning or afternoon sessions?
Morning.
Morning.
Because I do care home exercise as well. And we normally have either a morning or an afternoon session, sometimes both. Everyone, including me, I have to say, is a bit sleepy in the afternoons.
Yeah.
Whereas mid-morning is when people are at their peak.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Music or no music?
Music, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm quite a music geek. I like a bit like piece of cake. I like making the right playlist for the occasion. Yeah. So and often it's a little bit of an in with somebody who I don't know or maybe is a little bit wary of me. Mm-hmm. I'll say something. Oh, do you like ABBA? Now, who doesn't like ABBA? Or what's your favourite Queen song? And I'll put that on, and that gets us off on the right foot.
Oh, like that. Jumping or bouncing?
As in the terminology, which one I use? I tend to use jumping, coming from a slightly more sport background, but I use them interchangeably, really.
Yep. So, individual or group session?
That's a tricky one. How long's a piece of string, really? Depends. Really depends who I'm working with. I've done cover supervision at schools before where I've had a big group, it's been a rainy day, they can't go out to play, and so a game like shopping baskets on the trampoline keeps everyone engaged. I'd say 80% of the time I work individual.
Yeah. Okay. You've mentioned a couple of locations already, but what would you say is your favourite course location?
Been to Cornwall a couple of times. It is a serious drive from here. I do love going to Northern Ireland. Furthest north I've been so far is Sheffield. So it's unlikely, but it would be interesting to go further north. And also I'm at Cambridge a few times a year. I always enjoy going to Cambridge. Castle are a really lovely school. They're really hot on their rebound. It's nice to show new candidates a school that's doing it really well and what can be achieved there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, best thing about being a tutor other than the travel?
I enjoy working freelance. It's sometimes this time of year, this is my quietest month of the year, and it sometimes does feel a bit unnerving. I think, I've got no work for the next 3 days, and that means there's no money coming in. But on the whole, the freelance life suits me. I like having a variable workload. Luckily, I've got other clients that I fit in around rebound therapy, so there's enough to keep us ticking over.
Good, excellent. For clapping or cheering?
It depends how long it's going on for, really. Probably a mixture of both. If you're at an award ceremony or something and you're clapping everybody, so it's a big group of people who are getting presentations, that does get a bit tiresome after a while, but then so does cheering. So you got to mix it up a bit.
Absolutely. And I guess around packing exercise, pillows or blankets?
Probably pillows.
Pillows?
Blankets are very versatile. I can make the shape I want, but in order to raise someone, you need an awful lot of blankets.
Yeah. Okay. Physio ball or a peanut?
Peanuts.
Peanuts.
100%. Most useful thing. I bought the peanut that I use on courses just before my first course. It is still going strong. It is looking a little bit tired, but it served me very well.
Parachute, small or large?
Medium.
Medium.
Yeah, because I've occasionally on schools where I've got to go in by public transport, I haven't brought my own parachutes, and I found that 5 meter diameter, which is the size I've got, that is the sweet spot when it comes to parachutes. It moves around the trampoline very well. You don't trip up on it. Bigger than that is hard to manage. Smaller than that doesn't get the job done.
Yeah. Okay. Like that answer. T-shirt or polo? And that's not a plug for this.
T-shirt, please. I
Lovely.
don't like collars.
And then tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee.
I'd
Good.
like to, yeah.
Would you like to be hot or do you prefer the cold?
Hot, and a story which probably won't make the cut because it's a bit dull, but when we moved house, we moved during the stamp duty rebate that happened during COVID, which freed up a little bit of money, and we bought two things. We bought a robot vacuum and quite a fancy bean to cup coffee machine and some quite fancy portable mugs. And that's actually been an excellent purchase, and I'd say it's paid for itself now, because it's very rare now that I need to buy a coffee, because I can make a good one at home to go.
Yeah, right. I'll be there in an hour. Well, that's all the questions. So thank you, Anna. So thank you very much for being our first in the series.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.